Hello, everyone. I wanted to give you a heads up about my upcoming session, Winning Communication. It's a zoom in specifically on that leg between attention to memorability. It's tough times. We spend a lot in marketing, but is it effective? Of course, there is matrices, blah, 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 but I want to dig in and go back to the basics and share with you for I think very much a lot of people do not get the neuromarketing learnings and new science, even though it's been like 25 years and I've run many sessions before on that. But let's go in a bit of depth about that. And then we're going to share practical tools of how we do it. So let me walk you through what I have in mind for this session. So as you see, in terms of attention, and I don't think this is new news for you, is this the numbers are shocking. If we're going down from 12 seconds as human beings for attention to 8 seconds, that means that the goldfish, which was like the gold standard of just being, all over the place and not getting any attention. Remember that movie, Nemo? What was it? Yeah, one of those animation movies that was practically like this. So yes, attention for human beings is getting very low. Now, zooming into digital screens, we're looking at 150 seconds. Now it's 47. If we're breaking down by generations, of course, the obvious one that younger have a limited attention span on social media, and then they disengage, i.e., they keep swapping, swapping, swapping. So we're looking at 6 seconds. I mean, for God's sake, what can you do in 6 seconds? We're gonna explore this and discuss it together in that workshop. And then millennial 8, 10, and 13 for baby boomers, which probably is like we're just trying to, discover the technology and what's going on and all of these flashes coming up on our screens. And we're probably just using one or two. By the way, I'm saying we, not that I'm a baby boomer, but out of context. So when I say we're going to deep dive, we're going to look at the brain, basically. We have now MRIs, we have eye tracking, we have modules and research, accumulation of knowledge. So my question always, why are we not using that knowledge to enhance the performance of our marketing? We want to build brands that last. We want to know when to air and not to air. We want that correct message, not rational, but emotional. We want to get into under the skin of those customers that we want to attract and keep, whether it is B2C, B2B, any sector or product or culture or country can use this data. It is about human beings. You know, when I talk about shopper insights, for example, and I tell you how shoppers behave in front of the shelf, and how they grab things, notice colors, grab their SKU, what planograms you should follow. It is general because it is a human being. Come down to the nitty gritty of application, which we're going to cover in this workshop. Then you have local insights. But for now, this is a very, very big picture. It's the brain, the human brain. So, what does it take? We're getting tons and tons of data from all our senses. We're talking about 11 million bits per second. The brain does not process all this. Yeah, we're talking about 50 to 70. And of course, the brain is protecting us. Remember that the computers are modeled based on the brain. Yeah. So there is short memory, there is long memory. And when your computer heats up, yeah, it's exactly the same thing. If the brain is getting too much, it shuts down and it filters and brings in only those that are relevant, only those that they can relate to. And obviously, attention is a gatekeeper. What gets your attention? It could be good attention and bad attention. It could be noise. And this is also something we're going to speak about and discuss. And this is what we call partly cocktail party effect, which is you go into a party and naturally, automatically, if it's so noisy, the brain just zooms out everything and focuses on the one thing that grabs their attention. So, are you able to grab that attention with that limited capacity? So, you grab the attention, there's an ability to interpret that, get into that filter because you're relevant, and then be remembered later. The brand is retrieved from the brain with that message, and then you act. See how difficult it is? This is the truth. So, if you want to win with communication, you need to understand the depth of these um operations that happen in the brain. One theory, for example, and it's not only this theory, but look at the causes and consequences of cognitive ease, for example. Ease has always been one of the triggers for facilitating that process, and it came into the Nobel Prize winner, Professor Daniel Kahneman, with his book Thinking Fast and Slow that changed everything we know about the brain and the shopping experience. So this is one of his theories. For example, if it's a related experience, a display, a good idea, a good mood, feelings are extremely important. If you feel at ease, you're more likely to be receptive. You're more likely to remember that conversation. Guys, it's not rocket science. You just need to educate yourself and think of yourself as a customer. Think yourself as an employee. This happens all the time on daily basis. As long as you're a human, right? I'm not talking about AI, even though we're going to touch on it. But yes, if you're human, you're going to do that. Another theory, apart from Mr. Daniels' one, is about disruption. This is from the underground for healthcare. If the normal conversation goes like, off to the doctor, back at 5, that's normal conversation. But another statement with just removing one proposition from at to in makes a whole different conversation going. Off to the doctor, back in 5. So the pain point is getting an appointment from the NHS. Here you get it in 5 because you're using the application. Now, what is happening now, and this is in the tube, is it disrupts the brain. This is another school versus the ease one. We're going to discuss that. So, guess what? The marketeers, we in the industry for so many years before this whole neuroscience, we didn't get the memo. We sit in boardrooms like this and look at tons of research and think, oh my God, how is the customer not thinking of us after all these tons and tons of advertising and spending? There must be something wrong either with the data or whatever. And yes, again, confirming that we spend so much on advertising, but the efficiency, I mean, however we define it, is 6%. Sir John Haggerty last year said that, one of the key figures in advertising, he said that in Cannes Lyon last year. So what are we doing? We are chasing numbers, performance marketing matrices, updated data. What are people doing online, behaving, TikTok posting, the frequency here, for example, we know that it decreased. We know the drivers for sharing content among millennials, whether it's funny, provoking, intelligent, it's different. That's the school of disruption, which, by the way, all of this is absolutely fine. I mean, I'm glad that you are measuring. But listen, Why don't we take it again, step back? If we're doing the right thing with the brain, building brands with the right communication, messages, visuals, senses, all of that we're going to go through, then these measures would be higher and more effective. Or, I'm crazy. So the setup of this workshop, for starters, is going to be only 4 hours. So it's half a day because I practice what I preach. Your attention span is going to be very low, and this is a loaded half a day of just insights, discussions, new theories, and all of that. So I'm going to build that workshop in 3 layers. I'm going to go for the back end relevancy, and this I will explain in a bit. And then there is the attention. How do you grab attention? This is where we say lights, camera, on. Yeah. And then memorability again goes back to the brain. Are we there? Now, when I say relevancy, and the reason I'm putting that up front, I want all the audience to be at the same level of understanding the brand and what are we doing here, because everything we do, and again, I repeat, everything we do has to connect with a business issue. And if it's relevant, one of the first things, of course, it's relevant to the customer. So what is the customer pain point that we're going to resolve? And it's relevant to the business because I want to grow the business. This is why communication is important. It supports the brand, and the brand strategy is the business strategy. I'm going to only speak about 3 things, which I always find for the last 10 years, ever since I started consulting, key major issues in the business strategy. Focus on the customer pain point, the price positioning. I'm talking here not absolute price, not even value. So where do you want to stand? And then brand stretchability, directly related to the growth of the business. Then, of course, I want to give you tools, and these tools are intangible and tangible. Intangible, obviously, that are all based on the brain understanding and neuromarketing. Yeah, I get a typo here. I need to change it. Okay. And what are we going to do? We're going to unpack emotions, the primary and the secondary. I want to focus specifically on positive and negative, fear and guilt, and brands that use these 2 platforms. Is this good? Is this bad? It's up to you. They're very powerful. Yeah. Think Dettol, for example, the fear of bacteria. That's one thing. On the positive side, there is humility. Think of Avis. They're proud to be number 2. They try harder. Devotion, for example. So why are these important platforms? They're not the only ones, but we're going to explore them. We're going to talk about changing the norms when you speak gender differences, when you want to challenge values in a certain society. you know what triggers in the brain and kind of engagement that happens with your brand. Is this good or bad? What are the best practices in all of this? Community deep dive is very important for those who are interested in CSR or brand purpose, which I'm going to elevate that thinking into a business opportunity where brands can indeed benefit from building communities, particularly if you're entering into new markets. So all of the others are, the tangible tools that we're going to look into. This is stuff that can go across new launches, repositioning, rebranding, entering new markets or categories. Any sector can build from this. I look forward to our discussions. I always learn from you, and hopefully it will be worthwhile for you to attend. The details will be shared very soon.